Okay, hi everyone, I'm here with your 424 lesson. It is titled, How Can I Use Ratios? Ratios in Other Situations. Are ratios only used to compare shapes that have been enlarged or reduced? In this lesson, you will expand your use of ratios to new situations. What is being compared is a question that will be useful to keep in mind as you work with your team on this lesson. We're going to start with problem 475. Katura was making berry drink from a bag of powdered mix. The directions said to use 5 scoops of powder for every 8 cups of water. Her pitcher holds 12 cups of water. What is the ratio of powder to water in the directions? Go ahead and pause and write the ratio. Okay, you could have written your ratio 3 ways. So you could have had 5 scoops to 8 cups, 5 scoops over 8 cups, or 5 scoops, 8 cups. Part B says, work with your team to figure out how much powder Katura needs to mix with 12 cups of water. Try to find more than one way to describe or show how you know that your answer makes sense. Be prepared to share your ideas to the class. Go ahead and pause and try. Okay, if you're back with me, your ways that you could have come up with this could have varied, but your answer should have been that she would need 7.5 scoops of powdered mix for 12 cups. So one way I like to show this is if we did 5 scoops to 8 cups, we knew that there was 12 cups of water in the pitcher. So you need to ask yourself, 8 times what is going to give me 12? So if you ask yourself that question, you should have come up with 1.5. And the other way that you could figure that out would be 12 divided by 8. So 1.5. So then you would need to multiply by 5 by 1.5. And 5 times 1.5 would give you 7.5. Okay, that's just one way to do it. You might have had a different way to do it, and that's perfectly fine, but I'm just showing you that that is one way to do it. Part C says, what is the ratio of powder to water in Katura's pitcher? How does this compare to the ratio in the directions? So go ahead and pause and answer. If you're back with me, you've answered part C. So you should have come up with 7.5 scoops to 12 cups. And again, you can write it 3 separate ways. The second part of this question was, how does this compare to the ratio in the directions? It's the same, it represents the same relationship, okay? Because it's telling you in the directions, it's talking about 5 scoops of powder for every 8 cups, okay? That's still, you're just using 7.5 scoops for 12 cups. So it still is representing the same relationship. Okay, we're going to move on to 477. 477 says, Nikki is setting up a carnival machine with 3 teddy bears, 7 stuffed frogs, 3 rubber duckies, and 2 stuffed dinosaurs. Find the following ratios for Nikki's machine. 1, the number of teddy bears to total prizes. 2, the number of teddy bears to the number of stuffed dinosaurs. 3, the number of teddy bears to combined number of other prizes. And that's it. So I would like you to pause the video and answer part A, 1, 2, and 3. Okay, if you're back with me, you've answered that. We're going to save that and talk about that in class. Part B says, in the carnival game, one prize is shown at random. Nikki's teacher told her that the probability of randomly picking a teddy bear was 20%. Which of the ratios in Part A do you think her teacher used to find the probability? So go ahead and pause and answer Part B. You're using your ratios from Part A. Okay, if you're back with me, again, we're going to save that and talk about it in class. Part C says, Nikki is setting up a different machine that holds 60 total prizes. The machine will have the same ratios for each kind of prize as the first machine. If the new machine has 12 teddy bears, will the chances of randomly picking a teddy bear be the same as her original machine? Explain. So go ahead and pause the video and answer Part C. If you're back with me, that means you've answered Part C. We are going to save that and talk about that in class as well. 478, I believe, is our last question. Okay. So let's take a look. Trey correctly spelled 60% of the words on her last spelling test. How many words did she spell correctly for each word that she spelled wrong? That is, what is her ratio of correctly to incorrectly spelled words? Pause the video and answer. Okay, if you're back with me, you've answered Part A. So 60%, so you have to think that back to chapter 3 here, percent is out of 100, okay? And then we could reduce it. So if she got a 60 out of 100, we can reduce that to 6/10. So she spelled 6 words correctly, which means she spelled 4 words incorrectly. So your ratio would have been 6 correct to 4 incorrect. But notice, we can simplify 6 and 4. Okay, we could make that, we could divide both by 2, and we could get 3 correct for every 2 incorrect. These are the exact same ratio. One is just in simplest form, so you always want to try and get your ratio down to the simplest terms that you possibly can. Okay, you did not have to write it like this. You could have wrote it as a fraction. You could have wrote it with the word 2 in between, but that is your ratio, 3 correct to 2 incorrect. B, Lewis spelled 3 words correctly for every one that he spelled incorrectly. Did Lewis do better than Trey on the test? What is Lewis's score represented as a percent? So go ahead and pause the video and answer Part B. Okay, if you're back with me, you've answered Part B. So we know that Lewis got 3 correct for every 1 incorrect. So if I was writing that as a fraction, he would get a 3 out of 4. So now you need to ask yourself, to get a percent, remember percent is out of 100, 4 times what is going to give you 100? It's going to be 25. So 3 times 25 is 75. So he got a 75 out of 100, so he got a 75%. So did he do better than Terry? Yes, Lewis did better. Okay, that is the last question for your lesson today. Please make sure that you have answered all the questions, and when you're done with the video, upload a picture to the assignment on Google Classroom. And as always, if you have any questions, please email me.